The Extinction Lottery, a production of Offbeat Editor, voice over by Ridgwan Coram. Part 1, The Drawing. The notification arrived at 6:47 a.m. on a Tuesday, like it was just another appointment reminder or grocery delivery confirmation. Maya Okonkwo was making coffee when her husband's wrist console chirped, 3 short beeps that made her hand freeze halfway to the cabinet. David looked at his wrist. His face went paper-white. "No," Maya whispered, setting down the coffee cup with shaking hands. "No, no, no." Their daughter Zara, 13 years old and still in her pajamas, appeared in the kitchen doorway. "Dad." David's voice came out strangled. "I've been selected." The words hung in the air like a death sentence. In a way, they were. Selected for the Exodus Initiative. Report to Processing Center 7 within 72 hours. Congratulations on your opportunity to pioneer humanity's future. The message was clinically cheerful, as if David had won a vacation package, rather than a one-way ticket to a planet that might kill him within hours of landing. Maya felt her legs give out. She sank into a kitchen chair, staring at the breakfast table, half-prepared, ordinary, impossibly normal. Toast in the toaster. Butter dish. The ceramic fruit bowl Zara had made in art class 3 years ago. "They say it's a lottery," David said numbly, still staring at his wrist. "But it's not random, is it? Never has been." He was right, of course. Everyone knew it, though no one said it out loud. The Global Population Management Council claimed the Exodus selections were random, but the demographics told a different story. The selected were disproportionately poor, brown, old, disabled, politically inconvenient. The lottery was just a comfortable lie, a way for the comfortable to sleep at night. The world had 11 billion people in 3050, crammed into cities that stretched for hundreds of miles, stacked 40 stories high. The oceans had risen. The farms had failed. The wars over water and rice and soy had left whole continents scarred. Something had to give. So they invented the Exodus Initiative. Every decade, 10% of the population was selected for transport to New Earth, a planet in the Kepler system, 47 light-years away. The journey took 6 months in cryosleep. The settlers would wake up on a world that orbital surveys suggested might support human life. Might asterisk. The first wave had launched 20 years ago in 2030. 2 billion people loaded onto generation ships that could make the journey in relativistic time. No one had heard from them since. The government said it was because of the distance. Signals took decades to travel. But Maya, like most people, suspected the truth was simpler and more terrible. New Earth was probably a graveyard. "There has to be a way out," Zara said. Her voice was small, frightened. Can't we appeal or pay someone?" "With what money?" David laughed, a broken sound. "Baby, we've been living paycheck to paycheck for 3 years." That was the other thing about the lottery. You could buy your way out for 2 million credits. A sum so astronomical it might as well have been 2 billion. The wealthy never got selected in the first place, but if they did, they had insurance policies, legal loopholes, connections. The system was designed to cull the disposable. Maya felt rage burning through her shock. We'll fight it. We'll get a lawyer. Lawyers cost money too. Then we'll run, disappear, go off-grid. They'll find us, David said softly. They always do. And then all three of us get selected. Is that what you want? The threat was implicit in every lottery selection. Comply, or your family joins you. Maya wanted to scream. She wanted to flip the table, to tear down the walls, to set fire to the entire corrupt system. Instead, she reached across the table and took her husband's hand. We have 72 hours, she said. We'll make them count. Part 2, the before. They spent the first day in a kind of numb fugue, mechanically going through the motions of preparing. David filed the mandatory compliance forms. Maya called her mother, her sister, her three closest friends. Everyone offered condolences in hushed, awkward voices, like David had already died. Zara locked herself in her room and wouldn't come out. By evening, Maya couldn't take the oppressive silence anymore. She knocked on Zara's door, 3 soft taps, their old signal from when Zara was little and afraid of thunderstorms. Go away, Zara called. Not a chance, baby. A long pause, then the lock clicked. Zara was sitting on her bed, surrounded by photographs and old-school projects, her face streaked with tears. 13 was such a terrible age for this, too old to be protected from the truth, too young to process it. Maya sat down beside her daughter and pulled her close. Zara buried her face in Maya's shoulder and sobbed. I hate them, Zara whispered. I hate everyone who made this happen. I know. Why, Dad, he's a good person. He volunteers at the food bank. He's never hurt anyone. I know, baby. It's not fair. No, Maya agreed. It's not. They sat like that for a long time, mother and daughter, mourning a future that was being ripped away. Eventually, Zara's tears slowed. She pulled back, wiping her face with her sleeve. Do you think New Earth is real? Zara asked. Do you think anyone's actually alive there? Maya wanted to lie. She wanted to say, yes, of course, your father will be fine. He'll send us messages and maybe someday we'll join him. But Zara deserved the truth. I don't know, Maya said. The government says the communications lag is why we haven't heard anything. But you don't believe them. I think they're sending people to die. Zara's face crumpled. Then we have to stop Dad from going. We can't. If he runs, we all get selected. Then we all go together. Zara. I mean it. Zara grabbed Maya's hands. If Dad's going to die on some alien planet, I want to be with him. I want to be with both of you. Please, Mom, please. Maya's heart broke. She cupped Zara's face in her hands, looking into eyes that were so much like David's, dark and deep and far too old for 13. Your father and I will talk about it, Maya said. I promise. But she already knew what David would say. Part 3, the choice. That night, after Zara had finally cried herself to sleep, Maya and David lay in bed staring at the ceiling. The city hummed around them. 11 million people stacked like cordwood, all trying to survive in the ruins of the world. She wants us to go with you, Maya said. I know, I heard you talking. David. No, his voice was firm. I won't let you throw your lives away. And I won't let you go alone. He turned to face her. In the dim light from the window, she could see tears on his face. Maya, listen to me. There's a 90% chance I'll be dead within a year, probably within a month. I'm not taking you and Zara to that. You don't know that. Yes, I do, and so do you. He touched her face gently. 2 billion people left on the first wave. If even a fraction of them had survived, we'd have heard something by now. New Earth is a death sentence. Then stay, we'll hide, And when they find us, when they take all 3 of us, he shook his head. At least this way you and Zara have a chance. A chance at what? Living in this hellhole without you. Living, David said simply, that's enough. Maya wanted to argue, but she couldn't find the words, because he was right. The world was a hellhole, overcrowded, polluted, violent, corrupt. But it was the hellhole they knew. New Earth was a beautiful unknown, and beautiful unknowns had a way of hiding terrible truths. I can't lose you, she whispered. You won't. I'll be 47 light years away, but I'll be thinking about you every second, both of you. He pulled her close. Promise me you'll take care of Zara. Promise me you'll fight to survive. David. Promise me, Maya. She buried her face in his chest, breathing in his smell, soap and coffee and the faint chemical tang of the city. I promise. They made love that night with a desperate intensity, trying to memorize each other with hands and lips and tears. Afterward, Maya lay awake listening to David's breathing, counting each inhale and exhale like a miser counting coins. 72 hours had become 48. Part 4, The Resistance. The next morning, Maya woke to find David's side of the bed empty. She found him in the kitchen, talking in low tones with someone on his console. I understand the risks, he was saying, but I need to know the truth. Who is that? Maya asked. David glanced up, startled. Hang on. He muted the console. It's Nabil from work. Nabil Hassan was a data analyst at the same distribution center where David worked. He was also, Maya knew, involved with some kind of underground resistance movement. She'd met him twice at company gatherings. A thin, intense man with wire-rimmed glasses and nervous hands. What does he want? Maya asked carefully. David hesitated. He says the resistance has information about New Earth, about what really happened to the first wave. Maya's pulse quickened, and he wants to meet in person today. Every instinct screamed at Maya that this was dangerous. The Global Population Management Council didn't tolerate dissent. People who asked too many questions about the Exodus initiative had a way of disappearing. But then again, David was already sentenced. What did they have to lose? I'll come with you, she said. They left Zara with Maya's sister Rosa and took the maglev train to Sector 9, a crumbling industrial zone on the city's edge. Nabil had given them an address, an abandoned factory that had once manufactured protein paste before automation made the workers redundant. The building was skeletal, all exposed girders and broken windows. Nabil met them at a side entrance, glancing nervously over his shoulder. "You shouldn't have come," he said. "Both of you, it's not safe." "We're here now," David said. "Show us." Nabil led them through a maze of corridors to a basement room where a half-dozen people were gathered around a makeshift table. Some Maya recognized from the sector: a doctor, a teacher, a man who ran the corner grocery. Others were strangers. "David," Nabil said, "Maya, this is the truth cell." The doctor, a woman named Alina Ruiz, stood up. "We've been investigating the Exodus initiative for 5 years, tracking communications, analyzing data, interviewing anyone who'll talk, and we've found something." She activated a holographic display. Images flickered to life: orbital photographs, spectrographic data, what looked like footage from a probe. "This is New Earth," Alina said, "or what the government calls New Earth. Its real designation is Kepler 442b. It's roughly Earth-sized in the habitable zone of its star. Orbital surveys suggested it had water, an atmosphere, possibly even primitive life." "Suggested?" Maya asked. "Past tense, because 5 years ago one of our members, a technician at the Space Migration Bureau, managed to access classified data. Real data, not the sanitized version they feed the public." Alina's face was grim. "New Earth is uninhabitable." The room seemed to tilt. David grabbed the edge of the table. "What?" "The atmosphere is toxic. Sulfur compounds, methane, carbon dioxide at lethal concentrations. The surface temperature averages -20°C. The water is acidic. Nothing can live there, nothing human anyway." Maya felt like she'd been punched in the gut. "But the first wave, 2 billion people." "Are dead," Nabil said quietly. "All of them. The ships arrived. The colonists woke from cryosleep. And they died. Some in the landing ships when the atmospheric readings came through and the pilots realized there was nowhere safe to land. Some in the first few hours of exposure. The rest over the following weeks as their supplies ran out." "The government knows," Alina continued. "They've always known. The Exodus initiative was never about saving humanity by spreading to the stars. It's about culling the population, about getting rid of the people they don't want, the poor, the sick, the politically inconvenient." David slumped into a chair, his face ashen. "It's genocide." "Yes," Alina said. "Genocide wrapped in the language of hope and exploration." Maya's mind reeled. She'd suspected the Exodus initiative was corrupt, but this was something else entirely. This was mechanized murder on a scale that beggared imagination. "Why hasn't anyone exposed this?" she demanded. "Why hasn't this information gotten out?" "We've tried," Nabil said. "We've sent the data to journalists, politicians, international organizations. It gets buried every time. The people in power benefit too much from the current system. And the people who might care, the ones at risk of selection, don't have the resources to fight back." "So what do we do?" David asked. His voice was hollow. Alina and Nabil exchanged glances. "We have a plan," Alina said slowly, "but it's dangerous, and it requires someone on the inside." "Inside where?" Maya asked. Inside Processing Center 7, where the selectees are prepared for transport. Alina looked directly at David. We need someone to plant a data package in the center's servers. Something too big to ignore, too widely distributed to suppress. Evidence that will expose the truth to everyone. A whistleblower payload, Nabil added. It'll upload automatically to every major news network, every social media platform, every government database. Millions of people will see it before they can shut it down. David stared at them. You want me to do this? You're already scheduled for processing, Alina said. You'll be inside the center. If you can access a terminal, any terminal, and insert this data chip. She held up a small black device, no bigger than a thumbnail. You could save billions of lives. Or get myself killed, David said. You're being killed anyway, Nabil said bluntly. We're asking you to make your death mean something. Maya grabbed David's hand. No, absolutely not. I won't let you. Maya, David's voice was steady. What choice do I have? Go to New Earth and die, or go to New Earth and maybe, maybe, do something that matters. They'll catch you, they'll punish you. How? By killing me harder, he laughed, that same broken sound from before. I'm already dead, Maya. This way at least I can fight back. Part 5, The Preparation. The Truth Cell gave them 12 hours to prepare. Alina provided David with detailed schematics of Processing Center 7, highlighting the locations of terminals that would allow him to upload the data package. Nabil drilled him on the security protocols, the guard rotations, the blind spots in the surveillance system. Maya sat and watched, feeling like she was in a nightmare she couldn't wake from. Her husband was going to die, she'd known that since the notification arrived. But now he was going to die committing what the government would call treason. If he was caught before he completed the upload, they'd make an example of him. Public execution, maybe. Or worse. And if he succeeded, if the truth got out. What happens after? Maya asked. After the payload goes live. Chaos, probably, Alina said. The government will deny it, of course. Call it fake news, conspiracy theories. But once people see the evidence, the actual footage from New Earth, the internal documents, the death tolls, they can't unsee it. There'll be riots, Nabil added. Maybe revolution. The Exodus initiative will collapse. The politicians who supported it will fall. It won't be pretty, but it'll be better than this slow genocide. And the people who are already selected, Maya pressed, the ones scheduled to go. Alina met her gaze. We're hopping. The processing centers will be shut down before the next transport launches. But Maya, I can't promise you that David will be saved. The best-case scenario is that the truth comes out and forces the government to stop. The worst case is that they execute David and bury the story anyway, Maya finished. Yes. That night, their last night together, Maya and David didn't sleep. They sat on the couch with Zara between them, holding each other as the hours ticked away. Zara had been told everything. She was too smart to be lied to, too invested to be kept in the dark. I'm scared, Dad, Zara whispered. Me too, baby. Do you really think you can stop them? David was quiet for a moment. "I think I can try. That's all any of us can do." At 5 a.m., Maya made coffee one last time. They sat at the kitchen table, the three of them, drinking in silence. The fruit bowl Zara had made in art class sat between them, absurdly cheerful. "I love you both so much," David said. "I need you to know that. Whatever happens, I died loving you." "Don't," Maya choked out. "Don't say goodbye yet." "I have to." He pulled a small memory chip from his pocket, not the data chip from the Resistance, but a personal one. "I recorded something for you both, messages, one for every year until Zara turns 30. Birthdays, holidays, just me talking. I know it won't be the same as having me there, but—" Zara burst into tears. David pulled her close, and Maya wrapped her arms around them both, the three of them clinging together like they could physically hold each other in place. But time was cruel. The clock moved forward, and at 6:47 a.m., exactly 72 hours after the notification, David's console chirped. "Report immediately to Processing Center 7. Part 6, the Center." Processing Center 7 was a monolith of steel and glass on the city's southern edge, surrounded by high walls and guard towers. Maya and Zara went with David as far as the outer checkpoint, where a uniformed guard scanned his wrist console and checked his name off a list. "Family can proceed to the observation gallery," the guard said mechanically. "The selectee continues alone." David turned to face them. His eyes were red, but his jaw was set with determination. "I love you," he said. "Remember that every second of every day." "I love you too," Maya whispered. She wanted to say more, to tell him to be careful, to beg him one more time not to do this. But the words stuck in her throat. Zara threw her arms around her father. "You're the best dad in the whole world," she sobbed. "Even on New Earth, even everywhere." "And you're the best daughter," David said, his voice breaking. "Be strong, Zara. Take care of your mom." He kissed them both one last time. Then he turned and walked through the checkpoint, into the processing center, and out of their lives. Maya and Zara were directed to the observation gallery, a sterile room with one-way windows overlooking the processing floor. About 30 other families were already there, all watching their loved ones move through the bureaucratic machinery of Exodus. The selectees were herded into lines, given medical examinations, fitted with identification bracelets. They signed forms, received injections, were issued standard jumpsuits and supply packs. The whole operation had the efficiency of a slaughterhouse. Maya spotted David on the floor below. He moved through the stations methodically, his face blank. She wondered if he was looking for an opportunity to upload the data package, or if he was just numb with terror. Hours passed. The sun climbed higher. Some of the families in the observation gallery left, unable to watch any more. Others stayed, clinging to these final glimpses of their loved ones. Then something changed. Maya saw David pause at a medical station, speaking to the technician. The technician frowned, checked something on a screen, then waved David toward a side corridor. David glanced up at the observation window, just once, a fraction of a second, then followed the technician out of sight. "Where's he going?" Zara asked anxiously. "I don't know." They waited 5 minutes, 10, 15. Then the alarm started. Klaxons blared throughout the building. Red lights flashed. Guards poured onto the processing floor, shouting orders. The selectees were herded into groups, confused and frightened. "All visitors must evacuate immediately," a voice announced over the intercom. "This is not a drill. Evacuate now." "Mom," Zara's voice was small, terrified. Maya's heart hammered. "It's Dad, he did it. He uploaded the data." Security personnel rushed into the observation gallery, pushing families toward the exits. Maya grabbed Zara's hand and fought against the tide of people, trying to stay at the window, trying to see what was happening to David. But she couldn't see him anywhere. Part 7, The Aftermath. They were evacuated to a holding area outside the center, along with hundreds of other families. No one knew what was happening. Rumors spread like wildfire. A bomb threat, a computer malfunction, a breach in the cryosleep chambers. Maya knew better. She clutched her console, waiting for news from Elena or Nabil, some confirmation that the payload had gone live. It came 20 minutes later. Her console lit up with notifications, news alerts, social media explosions, emergency government broadcasts. The story was everywhere, unstoppable, viral. Exposed. Exodus Initiative a death sentence. Government secretly sending billions to toxic planet. New Earth uninhabitable, proof inside. The evidence was damning. Satellite imagery of New Earth's toxic atmosphere. Internal memos from the Space Migration Bureau acknowledging the planet's lethality. Footage from the first wave. Grainy, horrific clips of colonists dying in their landing ships, suffocating in poison air. And a manifesto, written by David Okonkwo, explaining what he'd done and why. Maya's hands shook as she read his words. "My name is David Okonkwo. In approximately 10 minutes I will be arrested and likely executed for treason. But before I die, I want you to know the truth. The Exodus Initiative is not a salvation program. It is genocide. For 20 years, our government has been systematically murdering billions of people, the poor, the vulnerable, the disposable, by sending them to a planet that cannot support human life. I have uploaded evidence that proves this beyond any doubt. I do not expect to survive this, but I hope my death will not be meaningless. I hope it will wake you up. I hope it will make you angry enough to demand change. To my wife Maya and my daughter Zara, I love you. I'm sorry I couldn't stay, but I couldn't go quietly into that dark either. Fight for each other. Fight for a better world. And know that every single day of my life with you was a gift I didn't deserve." Zara read it over Maya's shoulder, tears streaming down her face. "Dad," she whispered. Around them the crowd erupted. Some people were crying. Others were shouting in rage. A woman near Maya collapsed, screaming her husband's name. A man punched the wall hard enough to split his knuckles. The guards tried to maintain order, but they were overwhelmed. The truth was out, and there was no putting it back. Then Maya's console chirped with a private message from Elena. David was arrested. They're holding him in the center, We're organizing a protest outside. Bring everyone you can. Part 8, The Sea. By evening, 10,000 people had gathered outside Processing Center 7. By midnight, it was 100,000. By dawn, 500,000. They came from all over the city, families of selectees, survivors of previous lotteries who'd managed to buy their way out, activists who'd suspected the truth for years. They blocked the roads, surrounded the building, chanted until their voices went hoarse. No more death ships, no more lies. Maya and Zara were in the front lines, pressed against the barriers that separated protesters from the center's perimeter. Police in riot gear formed a wall, their faces hidden behind visors. "Give us David Okonkwo," someone shouted. "Release the selectees. Shut down the exodus." The government's response came at noon. A public statement from the Global Population Management Council, delivered by a spokesperson with dead eyes. The allegations circulating regarding the Exodus Initiative are categorically false and represent a coordinated disinformation campaign by extremist elements. New Earth is a viable colony world, and the brave pioneers we've sent there are building humanity's future. The individual who breached Processing Center 7's security and uploaded fabricated data has been detained and will face justice for his crimes. We urge citizens to remain calm and trust in. The feed cut off as the hacking collective Anonymous overrode the broadcast with footage from New Earth. Real footage, showing the barren, toxic landscape and the frozen corpses of colonists who'd lasted mere hours before succumbing. The protests intensified. What had been a localized demonstration spread across the city, then across the country, then across the world. In Beijing, Lagos, Sao Paulo, Mumbai, everywhere the Exodus Initiative operated, millions of people took to the streets. The government declared martial law, but the military was made up of ordinary people, and many of them had lost family members to the Exodus. Units refused to fire on protesters. Some defected entirely, joining the demonstrations in uniform. The system was collapsing. On the third day of the protests, Maya's console chirped with an incoming call. Unknown number. She answered warily, "Hello." "Mrs. Okonkwo," a woman's voice hushed and urgent. "My name is Lieutenant Sarah Chen. I'm with the Interior Security Force at Processing Center 7. I don't have much time, but your husband is alive." Maya's heart stopped. What? They were going to execute him, but the protests changed the calculus. He's too valuable now, too visible. If he dies, it'll spark a full revolution. Chen's voice dropped even lower. "There's going to be a prisoner transfer tonight. They're moving him to a maximum security facility, but the route passes close to the protest zone. If someone were to, say, cause a distraction at the right moment." "Are you saying what I think you're saying?" "I'm saying I have 2 kids at home, and I'll be damned if I let them grow up in a world that murders people for telling the truth." Chen rattled off a location, a time, a vehicle description. "I can't promise anything, but if you can get there." The call ended. Maya stared at her console, adrenaline surging through her veins. Beside her, Zara had been listening. "Mom," Zara said, "we're going to save Dad." Part 9, The Rescue. Maya called Elena, who mobilized the truth cell. They had 4 hours to plan an ambush on a military transport vehicle, an insane, suicidal plan that had almost no chance of success. They did it anyway. The location was an underpass in Sector 12, an industrial corridor that the transport would have to pass through. Elena's people positioned themselves at both ends, 50 resistance fighters with improvised weapons, hacking tools, and desperate courage. Maya and Zara waited in the center, hearts pounding. "If this goes wrong," Maya started. "It won't," Zara said fiercely. At 2:00 a.m. the transport appeared, an armored vehicle flanked by 2 escort trucks. As they entered the underpass, Elena's hackers killed the streetlights. Darkness swallowed everything. Then chaos erupted. The resistance attacked from all sides, smoke bombs, EMP devices, sheer bodies blocking the road. The escorts screeched to a halt. Soldiers poured out, shouting orders, firing rubber bullets into the crowd. Maya ran forward, Zara beside her, pushing through the smoke and confusion. Someone had gotten the transport's rear door open. Figures in prison jumpsuits were climbing out, half blind and disoriented. "David," Maya screamed. "David." "Maya." And then he was there, stumbling out of the smoke, bruised and bloodied but alive. She threw herself at him, sobbing, not caring about the bullets or the sirens or the soldiers closing in. "You idiot," she gasped. "You beautiful, stupid idiot." "I know," David said, holding her like he'd never let go. "I know." Zara crashed into them both, and they stood there, a family, whole again, in the middle of a war zone. "We have to move," Elena shouted. She was pointing to a drainage tunnel at the side of the underpass. "This way." They ran, all of them, David, Maya, Zara, Elena, Nabil, 50 other resistance fighters and freed prisoners. They ran through the tunnels beneath the city, through maintenance shafts and abandoned subway lines, until they emerged miles away in Sector 6. Safe, at least for now. Part 10, The Revolution. The rescue of David Okonkwo became the spark that ignited a global revolution. Within a week, Processing Center 7 was stormed by protesters. The selectees inside were freed. The administrators fled or were arrested. Within a month, the Global Population Management Council was dissolved. Its leaders were prosecuted for crimes against humanity. The Exodus Initiative was permanently shut down. Within a year, the entire system of government had been restructured. The old order, the one that had sacrificed billions for the comfort of millions, was swept away. What replaced it wasn't perfect. Nothing human ever was, but it was better. The truth about New Earth spread to every corner of the world. Some people couldn't accept it, couldn't believe that their governments had been capable of such monstrous evil. But the evidence was undeniable. And slowly, painfully, humanity began to change. The revolution wasn't bloodless. There were skirmishes, battles, casualties. Maya saw good people die for the cause. She saw corrupt officials escape justice. She saw the resistance splinter into factions, each with different ideas about how to build a better world. But she also saw hope. She saw communities coming together to solve the population crisis through innovation rather than murder. Vertical farms that used a tenth of the space. Fusion reactors that provided clean energy. Medical advances that reduced infant mortality and extended healthy lifespans. Most importantly, she saw people refusing to accept the lie that some lives were disposable. David became a symbol of the revolution, the man who'd sacrificed everything to expose the truth. He gave speeches, testified at tribunals, worked with the new government to ensure nothing like the Exodus Initiative could ever happen again. But mostly, he was a father and husband. He was there for Zara's 14th birthday, her 15th, her 16th. He was there when she graduated early from high school, when she got accepted to university, when she declared her major in environmental engineering. He was there for Maya, too, for quiet mornings with coffee, for arguments about what to watch on television, for making love on Sunday afternoons while Zara was at her robotics club, for all the ordinary, precious moments they'd almost lost. Part 11, the memorial. 5 years after the revolution, they built a memorial. It stood on the site of Processing Center 7, which had been demolished and converted into a park. The memorial was a simple thing, a black granite wall inscribed with names, billions of names. Every person who'd been sent to New Earth, who died in the government's secret genocide. David's name was there too, in a place of honor, along with the other whistleblowers and resistance fighters who'd exposed the truth. On the memorial's dedication day, Maya stood with her family, David, Zara, Rosa, Elena, Nabil, dozens of others who'd fought and survived. The new prime minister gave a speech about remembrance and justice. A children's choir sang. Dignitaries from around the world laid wreaths. But the moment Maya remembered most was quieter. After the ceremony, as the crowd dispersed, Zara knelt by the memorial and traced her fingers over the names. She was 18 now, tall and beautiful and fierce, so much like her father it made Maya's heart ache. They deserved better, Zara said softly. Yes, David agreed, they did. We have to make sure it never happens again. We will, Maya said. She put her arms around her daughter, her husband. We will. Because that was the thing about survival. It wasn't enough to just live. You had to live with purpose. You had to build something better from the ashes. They stood there together, the three of them, as the sun set over the city. Around them the world kept turning, imperfect, struggling but alive, fighting for something better. And that was enough. Epilogue, the message. 10 years after the revolution, humanity received a message from the Kepler system. It came as a laser pulse, modulated with data, a transmission from deep space. At first, scientists thought it was random noise, or perhaps an echo from one of the abandoned Exodus ships. But when they decoded it, they found something impossible. A voice, human, faint and distorted by 47 years of travel time, but unmistakably human. This is Colony Ship Venture First Wave. If anyone can hear this, we survived. The transmission was fragmentary, damaged by cosmic radiation and the sheer distance it had traveled. But the pieces that came through painted an astonishing picture. The first wave hadn't all died. A small fraction, maybe 100,000 people out of 2 billion, had managed to survive the initial landing. They discovered that while New Earth's surface was toxic, there were underground caverns with breathable air, geothermal vents that provided heat, underground aquifers with relatively clean water. It wasn't paradise, far from it, but it was survivable. Over 20 years, the survivors had adapted, built shelters, established a fragile colony. They'd been trying to send signals back to Earth for years, but the energy requirements were enormous. Only now, with makeshift laser arrays and decades of preparation, had they managed to punch a message through. The transmission ended with a plea. "We know you probably think we're all dead. We know the government probably told you New Earth was perfect or didn't tell you anything at all. But we're here. We're alive. And we need help, please, if anyone's listening. Send ships. Send supplies. Don't let us die after we fought so hard to survive." The message sparked immediate controversy. Some people wanted to send a rescue mission. Others argued that New Earth was still too dangerous, that any new ships would just be throwing good lives after bad. The debate raged in parliaments and town halls and social media. Maya's family watched it all unfold from their apartment in Sector 9, now renovated, cleaner, less crowded than it used to be. "What do you think?" Zara asked. She was 23 now, working for the Environmental Restoration Agency. "Should we send ships?" David considered the question carefully. He was older, grayer, but his eyes were as sharp as ever. "I think," he said slowly, "that we can't abandon people who are crying for help. Not again." "But it's dangerous," Maya pointed out. "New Earth nearly killed 2 billion people." "It did kill 2 billion people," David corrected. "But 100,000 survived, and they deserve a chance." "So you'd go?" Zara asked. "If they asked for volunteers?" David laughed. "Hell no, I've had my fill of suicide missions." He pulled Maya close. "But I'd support sending people who wanted to go, with full disclosure this time, full transparency about the risks." "Informed consent," Maya said. "What a revolutionary concept." That night the three of them sat on their balcony, looking up at the stars. Somewhere out there, 47 light years away, people were clinging to life on a hostile world, waiting for help, hoping someone would hear them. "We're going to help them," Zara said. It wasn't a question. "Yes," David agreed, "we are." Because that was what it meant to be human. Not to be perfect, not to never make mistakes, but to try, to fight, to refuse to abandon each other, no matter how far the distance or how long the odds. Maya leaned her head on David's shoulder, watching the stars. The universe was vast and cold and often cruel, but it was also full of people trying their best to survive, to help each other, to build something better. And that was worth fighting for. That was worth living for. "I love you," she whispered to David, to Zara, to the world. "I love you too," they said back. And in the darkness between the stars, 47 light-years away, a colony held on, waiting for the cavalry, believing that humanity, flawed and foolish and beautiful humanity, would find a way to answer their call. Hope, it turned out, was the most human thing of all. The end of science fiction story. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Author's note: this story is a work of fiction, but the themes it explores, population control, systemic inequality, government deception, and the power of truth-telling, are unfortunately rooted in very real human history. May we learn from our past and build a future where no one is considered disposable.